Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. My name is Michael, and I'm your moderator for today's webinar about Fictiv's new enhanced injection molding quoting experience. This presentation will introduce you to Fictiv's injection molding service, then walk you through the features and benefits of our new 3D DFM technology that improves Fictiv's injection molding quoting experience. At the end of the presentation, we'll do a Q&A session, so please submit your questions through the chat or through the Q&A tool during the presentation. Sound good? Okay, now I'd like to introduce your presenter. Payam Barshoy is a senior product manager at Fictiv and a mechanical engineer by trade who has years of real-world injection molding experience. So without further ado, Payam, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Michael, and hello, everyone. I'm glad to be here with you today to walk you through some of the new capabilities of our Fictiv quoting platform, particularly for our injection molding. One of Fictiv's on-demand manufacturing service offerings. Design and fabricating a mold is a very delicate process and almost the most important part of manufacturing a injection molded part or a plastic part. And any kind of mistake in designing a mold and fabricating a mold could cause parts going out of a spec and basically some costly fixes down the line. Design for manufacturability, or as we call it, DFM evaluation, is such a critical step towards successfully manufacturing a plastic part. And that's why Fictiv provides DFM feedback to you, our injection molding customer, early in the quoting process, even before you commit to purchase an injection molded part from us. And the goal of that is to mitigate the risk as early as possible and before any piece of metal is actually cut towards an injection mold. What I'm about to show you in this demo is yet another effort to actually speed up the delivery of DFM feedback for your injection molding project, and to increase the quality and clarity of our report, and as a result, to speed up the communication between Fictiv and your team to agree on a course of action that fixes any kind of design issue and eventually mitigates the manufacturing risks. With that, let's take a look at our platform. So for the purpose of today's webinar, I have created a quote where I have already uploaded 2 of my design files on Fictiv platform as part of an injection molding quote. And I've already went ahead and configured the parts with the right material, finish, and color, and the quantities that I'll be requesting Fictiv to build for me. Also, we have this section called project requirements, where our customers can kind of communicate with us when their desired injection molding T1 sample delivery date would be and what a stage of development they are at for their product and things like that. So because I want to keep the focus of this webinar and this demo on the 3-dimensional DFM capability that we have introduced recently, and I'm very glad to kind of walk everyone today through that. I haven't basically focused on how to create a quote or things like that. So that's why I have this quick quote here ready to go. So with that, with basically parts uploaded, configurations done, project requirements set, as you can see, this button is now available for me to request a quote. So let me push this button, and then basically I'll get a message that your quote will be reviewed, and you will get a your quote request will be reviewed, and you'll get a quote or someone basically contacting you. So in this stage, if our team will get an immediate notification about basically your request from them. They'll start studying your specifications, your designs, and things like that. If they have additional questions, they will contact you. Otherwise, a quote will be prepared for you for these basically two designs that, for example, I have here. And the quote will be associated with a preliminary design for manufacturability report as well, which again is the focus of our conversation today. So I have created basically a replica of the quote that I have just shown you, but with one difference: this is already priced and is associated with the DFM report respective to each part. So let's go over that real quick. So if you remember, I had two designs, and these are the two design files that I had, basically my parts. Now, as you can see, each of the parts are associated with a price and a lead time. And in addition to that, each part is associated with a mold, because the molds have to be created and fabricated first before we can injection mold the parts. So each mold also is associated with a price. Now, I want to basically get everyone's attention on this button that says DFM available, and it exists for both of the parts. That is an indication of availability of a DFM report associated with your part design for every CAD file line item that you have in this quote. And with that, let's get to actually that part of it, and let's see how, as a customer, you can basically interact with your DFM report and what kind of information is provided to you as part of a preliminary DFM feedback for your injection molding quote. So if I click on the DFM available button here, I'll be taken to a second tab in this same page called Manufacturability Feedback tab. In the Manufacturability Feedback tab, I can see that, yes, each of the parts are associated with a feedback. So if I click on View Feedback button, I would be able to basically dive into reviewing the feedback. But in addition to that, we have this button that gives you a glimpse of what topics are included in the DFM feedback that you have received from Fictiv for that particular part. So looking at this kind of summary view, you can see that, yeah, there are 4 topics: draft analysis, thickness, sync, and 2-dimensional drawing review. And here are the actions that are requested of me as the customer to actually do. Like, for example, it says approval required, right? Let's take a look at the second part as well. Again, the same thing. I can see some side actions going on: draft analysis, thickness, sync, and 2D drawing review. So with that, let's just start with the first part. Let's dive into the DFM feedback and see basically what is included there. So this modal that just popped up is called our DFM review modal for our customers, where all of those basically topics that you have seen in the summary view are available to you for review in these basically kind of a slide-by-slide format, right? Now, let's get a little bit deeper into it. So the first slide is a draft angle analysis, right? And you can see that there is the 3D label next to it. And what it means is that you can actually interact with this part with your design while you see the color texture that actually shows the draft angle analysis on this part. Basically, you can interact in a 3-dimensional view with your DFM feedback. So just to be clear and a heads up here, the text and the analyses that you see here are mainly created by me for the purpose of this demo and webinar. take the wording with a grain of salt. I'm not going to be the expert who will deliver your basically DFM feedback. We have a specific team for injection molding DFM feedback. I just prepared basically these parts for the purpose of this demo. So with that said, let's take a look at what type of information you would get out of basically Fictiv platform in this 3D view. So the color texture here actually shows the draft angle on different faces of this part. So in this part, this is going to be your pull direction, basically when the mold opens up and the part is going to be pulled out of the mold and be released out of the mold. So with this pull direction, these areas on the side are going to need some draft angle for the ease of the release so that you don't have any drag marks on your part, right? And if you look at the color and this color chart at the bottom, it will kind of tell you that, okay, like this side, which is kind of this orange looking color, is going to be somewhere around 2 degrees draft angle, right? And the message here tells you that, yeah, this draft angle for this design actually looks acceptable. So what we need from you is just go ahead and approve it. So basically it's just a heads up to tell you that your part is in a manufacturable state with respect to draft angle, right? And with that, we can just go ahead and approve this particular slide. Now, one other thing that I want to get everyone's attention on is that we have a 2-dimensional version of this analysis ready for you here as well. We had 2 intentions to actually prepare this 2-dimensional view as well. Number one, you may want to download this DFM report for communicating internally with your team, or basically using a copy of your DFM for your internal documentation or other reasons, right? So this is going to be what you see here. The 2-dimensional version would be basically the view that you would see in the downloaded PDF version of this report. The other intention that we were pursuing with providing this 2-dimensional view was that in case you have any questions or comments or any sort of clarification to ask Fictiv, or you want to provide some additional insight about your design and why certain things are a certain way, you can use this view to communicate with us. And I'm going to go over that with you in reviewing the next slide, for example. So this is a thickness analysis slide. The purpose of this analysis is to show how consistent the thickness of the part is throughout the design. And as you can see, this part has a pretty consistent design in terms of thickness. So let's say I have a question about an area of the part, right? So in the 2-dimensional view mode, right, I would be able to click on this button that says annotate slide. I'll be given this kind of a message as to like how I can annotate and save afterward. Now I'm inside my 2-dimensional slide that represents my 3-dimensional DFM, right? And I can use like different annotation tools like shapes or arrows or text to ask my questions and comments, for example, right? And with that, I would be able to communicate my questions, comments, and all that with Fictiv. Of course, you will have basically, you will be able to change the color or the text size and like all the common kind of editing capabilities. So once done, I can just save this annotated view, and it will be saved in the system and will be available for Fictiv team to review your questions and comments, right? With that, we're going to move on to the next slide. Let's approve these. So the previous one was sync analysis, just to show like what are the areas that have the risk of sync. And as you can see in this design, we haven't seen any risk there, and the message also says that. The 2D drawing review is just to point out certain specifications on your drawing. If you have mentioned certain specification on the drawing that is either questionable, or there is a, I don't know, there is a risk of not being able to meet with them without any design change or things like that, right? Will be called out here. And if there is any risk of going out of tolerance, Fictiv will be communicating with you that, hey, if you want to hold this particular tolerance called out on this drawing, you have to do such and such or such basically design changes, which all will be communicated with you on a page like this. But in this case, the assumption is that there's no problem. So we're just gonna basically approve. And with that, basically our first part has been reviewed, and let's take a look at the summary view. Now, if you look at the summary view, you'll see that the statuses have been updated, right? I approved 3 of the slides, and on the 4th slide, or thickness analysis, I had some questions and comments. That's why the status has changed to pending Fictiv review. Same goes to the second slide. Let's just dive into it real quick. As you can see, there are 4 slides that have the 3D label, so you would be able to basically interact with them and kind of turn and twist them in the 3D viewer, and each of them come with a 2-dimensional view as well. So the first slide that was not included in the first analysis, that was not included in the previous one, is like, for example, our side actions, right? So these are the undercuts that need to be basically created by a side action, let's say a slider, lifter, things like that. And these are called out here. And none of them are associated with any warning in this particular case. So I'm just going to go ahead and let's say we are reviewing them and approving them real fast. Sync analysis, and again, a drawing review for this part as well. Cool. So when I approve any of these slides, as you can see, the person who approves them and the timestamp basically will be shown here. So with all that said, let's go back to our quote and basically take a look at the status of the quote. Oh, one thing that I would like to definitely point out is that when you are done reviewing your designs and the DFM report associated with your design, you can actually use this button that says Notify Fictiv. While you are reviewing your design, for example, especially if you leave annotations or messages for Fictiv, your Fictiv representative will be notified, but we still kind of put this button as a kind of as a means for our customers to be able to communicate with us that they are done with reviewing all of their DFM feedback. So you can totally use this and basically let your Fictiv representative know that you're done reviewing the DFM feedback. One thing that again I want us to give some attention to is the fact that one of my parts is actually on revision 2. So this means that at some point I have basically updated my CAD model and uploaded the updated CAD model into the Fictiv quoting platform, right? So that is basically a very common kind of functionality. Anytime throughout the quote lifecycle, you may need to, you may get a, let's say, a DFM input from Fictiv that, hey, like for example, you need more draft angle on these areas, right? You need to go back to your CAD model, increase the draft angle, save, come back to Fictiv, upload it, right? So that's, again, a very common functionality. But the thing that I want to point out here is that the question that could be raised here is that, okay, so then what happens to the DFM report that I received in response to my revision 1, right? Where is that? Where can I find that? Because the communication that happened supposedly on that DFM, how you responded to it, what Fictiv said, how you asked questions and commented on it, might be of some interest for you if you want to go back and check the history. So the good news is that if you click on this menu on the part line item, you will see that, of course, there's an upload part revision, which is the functionality that I used to upload my second revision. But you can see that there is a view revision history button here that allows you to actually take a look at the history of revisions for this part. And of course, this part had a revision 1 that was uploaded at some point. There is a revision 2 as well that was uploaded later. Both of the revisions are associated with a DFM report. Now, if I click on basically the DFM report for revision 2, you will see what we have just gone through, all the approved slides and all that, right? But because this is the active revision, we have just reviewed it. But the question is, okay, what happened in revision 1? So if I click on that, the DFM review modal pops up, but this time with one difference. This DFM is related to what you have received in revision 1. And if you note this banner message here that says the DFM for this previous revision is read-only, right? It kind of tells you that, hey, this is what happened in the past, so it's not changeable at this point, right? You can't, so let's say if you have slides that have not been approved, you can no longer approve them at this point, right? Because this is a snapshot of the past just for your reference. And the good thing about it is that if you have had any kind of, question or comment about your design or about the DFM from Fictiv, you would be able to refer to it. On this particular case, as you can see, the draft angle was too low, so there was a risk of drag marks, and I have gone ahead and updated my CAD model to have a draft angle of greater than, let's say, 2 degrees. And I was communicating that, yeah, these two faces, I can't give it a draft angle, but this face I will upload. As a result, I went ahead and upload, right? So basically just a point about how you can get access to a part of history on your quote. Now, with all of that said, basically this part is, since you had some questions from Fictiv, you will receive basically answers from Fictiv and can move forward with the checkout. So I'm not going to get into the checkout process. That's a normal kind of a checkout functionality that you can basically go ahead and begin checkout after you receive answers to your questions. The reason you don't see the checkout button here is that I have basically asked questions, and I have parts. As you can see here, I have parts that are pending Fictiv review. And once Fictiv reviews your questions and comments and responds back, you will be able to actually complete your checkout. So the next thing that I would like us to take a look at is that, so this functionality is not limited to before you place an order. Even after you place an order, you may still receive, you will still receive DFM reports from Fictiv, and with higher focus on your mold design, for example, how your gate would look like, how your ejection mechanism would look like, and things like that, right? I just wanted to show you how you would be able to access the DFM reports after your order. So this is an order that I've already placed in the past, and just for the purpose of this demo to show you like how to get to the DFM. So the layout of the page from a DFM review perspective is very similar to what I have gone through in the quote, which is like, yeah, you have this list of line items for the order. So you have your part line item, you have your mold and the samples, of course. And the part line item is associated with this DFM available button that would take you to the manufacturability feedback tab, very similar to the to what we have gone through prior to order. Again, the same type of summary view. And if I click on the view feedback, a similar modal would open up where I can review the DFM. So of course, at this with regards to this particular design and for this demo, I have not created any, like, let's say, comprehensive post-order DFM content, because those are, of course, more complicated and has to be done by the experts. My purpose is just to show you here that, yeah, so the similar DFM content is going to be available to you even post-order, and you can take a look, review them, approve them, and continue this basically communication with Fictiv even after your order has been placed. So with that, I think in terms of what I wanted to cover as part of the demo, we are done. So going back to just to talk about, like, in summary, what the benefits and values of this feature set are. I can kind of summarize it by saying, like, when Fictiv works on the design for manufacturability, especially for injection molding, like, our goal is to catch any kind of design flaw or any room for improvement that makes your design better, more manufacturable, and prone to less defect risk, right, as early as possible throughout the design and before basically the manufacturing process. That's our main goal, and we really want to deliver a guided expertise from our side to you, so you have a higher confidence in moving forward with your design, especially for injection molding, which is on the more complex side of manufacturing processes, since there's always a mold involved as well. So before a mold is actually fabricated, you're not going to have a part. So and mold is a kind of significant investment in terms of like the cost of it and the time that it takes to actually fabricate a mold. That's why the earlier we can catch those design flaws or find the room for improvement, the better. So now with this on-platform and fully kind of online workflow that allows us to deliver to you a high quality content and understandable content as to what is actually going on about your design, what can be improved, or what is a blocker for your mold design, for example. Our goal is to give you higher clarity and higher confidence to actually address any possible issues. And eventually, like, what our hope is and what our goal is to save time for you throughout this design for manufacturability process by delivering to you a meaningful and high clarity report, and make it as clear as possible so that we can agree on certain changes to the design if the design really needs a change in order to become manufacturable as fast as possible, so that you can maintain your deadlines and your speed to market.